basically for a young age student, because most of students you will be doing the blood biochemical analysis, right? You are doing your research work, blood biochemical analysis as well as hematological analysis. Some people want to study metabolic acidosis or metabolic alkalosis. Okay, so and other people they may want to do some urine analysis. So basically, what we do in the biochemical analysis is that in biochemical analysis we have certain set of reagents. Okay, so if you are doing blood glucose test or with a Gore pot means glucose oxidase and peroxidase, then we have certain sets of reagents. Okay, so these are certain sets of reagent, and then we have sample. Okay, so we have certain sets of reagent, we have sample can be a serum sample. Okay, if you want to collect the serum sample, how to collect serum sample? We have this clot activator tube or the plain tube. Okay, in this plain tube, if you take a blood sample and you keep it in the slanted position, the coagulation factor will cause the blood glucose to coagulate and the serum will ooze out. Okay, so that is production of the serum. So you will get the serum sample, and from the serum sample we have these sets of parameters. We want to estimate, for example, you want to estimate glucose. Which other parameter do you estimate with the serum analysis? SGOT, SGPT, cholesterol,
calcium,
glycoprotein, low
calcium
density
phosphorus,
glycoprotein, creatinine, urea, blood urea nitrogen. So basically, we want, if some animal is there, we want to study the health of animal. How do we study the health of animal? So animal's liver should be okay, right? If liver is okay, then anything what toxic goes in the animal, it should get detoxified. So in order to get that detoxification process, liver should be okay. So for liver test, you do the SGPT, SGOT, these types of tests we do, right? For kidney function, so whether kidney is functioning okay or not, or some kidney stone are there, kidney nephritis is there, and kidney is not filtering out properly. If the filtration process is not proper, in that case also you will get some diseases in our body, right? So in that case we have blood urea nitrogen, creatinine, likewise different tests for the different parameters. For cholesterol estimation, if some animal have a fatty diet, dog is being bred with a fat diet, the chances is that that dog may develop the atherosclerosis. Okay, atherosclerosis means that fat deposition will be in the blood vessel and blood vessel will be blocked. So if the blood vessel to the heart is blocked, means heart will get the dysfunction. So myocarditis or infarction it will be there. Okay, if it is in the coronary artery, it means that brain may get damaged, right? The stroke could be there. So these are the different pathological investigations. So you are from the different background. So pathology student, they will be studying the pathology angle. Pharmacologist student, they will be studying like some pharmaceutical drug is there, and they want to study whether this drug reduces the cholesterol level, whether this drug is helpful in treating the animal in case of wound, and which biochemical parameter I can estimate, right? So whenever you study the biochemical parameter, basically you take the correlated parameter. So you are studying, for example, atherosclerosis. So which parameter should you study? Cholesterol estimation, right? So cholesterol, not unrelated parameter. So likewise, all parameters are not necessary. Whenever you are designing instrument, the only parameter which are of interest with related to your problem, what problem you have taken, and with reference to that problem, which parameter do you want to estimate? So these parameters only you should estimate, right? So that is about the blood biochemistry analysis, is blood parameter. Now coming to the topic, so we have Dr. Alok Anka sir, welcome sir. So we have different parameter. So look how this serum estimation is being done, right? So during the serum estimation, we have reagents and we have sample. Sample we have. So the reagent, for example, the glucose test, we are adding the enzymatic reagent and our glucose or serum sample. Okay, serum and enzymatic reagent. Okay, if you mix together, certain color will be formed. So this is, for example, red. So basically red quinolamine complex is formed in the glucose oxidase peroxidase test. Okay. So this red color is formed. So which equipment we use during the serum analysis, routine serum analysis in our biochemistry lab? We use spectrophotometer. Okay, we use spectrophotometer equipment for doing this analysis. So if intensity, so serum has a, we want to estimate the glucose. If more glucose is there, more intense the red color will be there. Okay, intensity of red color. So for that example, we have this diagram, spectrophotometer. So here you can see light source is passing through this lens, and then this monochromator. Usually the white light we see is made up of 7 different color. Okay, 7 different color. If we pass it through the prism, it will split into its individual color. Each color has its own wavelength. Okay. So during this equipment, for example, this is colorimeter equipment, we have to choose a particular wavelength. Okay, so for choosing particular wavelength, there is a setting. On that setting, you can change the select the particular wavelength. Then this is a I0. This is the incident light. I0 is the incident light. Then IT, this is a transmitted light. So in between, so here, so this reaction we are doing in this tube. Okay. So this reaction is over. Now what we do with this reaction tube? We take this tube. We pass the incident light I0 through this reaction tube. So this red color is there, and there is a IT, transmitted light. Transmitted light is there. Now it is passing through, and digital reading will show the optical density. So what is the optical density of that solution? This optical density reading will be detected. Okay. So this optical density reading, so this absorption, so we say roughly we can say it as an absorption, not exactly, but it can be drawn as the log incident light divided by transmitted light, that is absorbance, is directly proportional to C lambda. Means what is concentration of this glucose? If concentration of the glucose is more, it means that color will be more intense. So this is the principle for this colorimeter, and the length, path length. So in this path length, it is also proportional to path length. For this purpose, we are putting it as a constant. Okay. So purpose of this lecture is not to tell you all this principle, but just how this principle is relevant when we are going to see the fully automated serum biochemistry analyzer. Okay. So this individually we perform the test, serum test, total protein test, glucose test, blood urea nitrogen, creatinine, individually we perform, right? So our aim is that we want to perform this test at once. So 60 tests we have, we want to perform the 60 tests, and now we can perform the 60 test at once. So in that case you save a lot of time, right? If you are going to do one by one test, then total protein we have to take, then you have to calculate all set of tests, then you have to take serum cholesterol estimation, then you have to complete that test, then blood urea nitrogen complete. So it will take more time. So for that purpose we have fully automated biochemistry analyzer. It performs a lot of tests at once. Okay. So the principle of that equipment is also similar to this one. You will have the reagent. For that reagent, so when we are going to go to that lab, so equipment like this will be there. So here we will have wheel, and here we will have wheel. In middle wheel, we are going to keep the reagents. In the outer wheel, we are going to keep the samples which we are going to test, that we are going to keep in that reaction. Your job is only to keep these things. Okay. Once it is kept, all this pipetting and all these things will be taken care by the equipment. So that is why it is called as a fully automated analyzer. Okay, so this is a fully automated analyzer. We are going to see about it. Okay. So next thing is a urine analyzer. Okay, urine analyzer we have. So first thing over, second thing we have urine analyzer. So for urine analyzer we have strips like that. Okay. So this is a urine strip and it has a color coding like this. So this is for protein, blood urea nitrogen, specific gravity. So like us 10-15 parameters will be there. So based on your test or research program, if you want a particular parameter, whenever we are going to purchase the strip, you have to remember that that strip should contain that particular parameter. Okay. Otherwise, for example, we have okay. So this one type of strip is there. It contains leukocyte, nitrite, urobilinogen, but it doesn't contain, for example, protein. So this test, this strips is not useful to you, right? So likewise, this strip will be there. So if you want to, and how to compare the result, we have these strips. Once you dip the strips in the, for example, this is a strip. You dip it into this urine sample. This is a urine sample. You consider for now. Now you are dipping this strip. Now this strips develops the color. Okay. So different parameters are there. So it will develop the color, and you have to see the color intensity where it matches. Everybody is familiar with the pH measurement, right? How to measure the pH. So different color will be there. You have to compare with that pH color. So in that case, the leukocyte is there. So you compare the color. If it is moderate, you say it is a positive test. Leukocyte is present and it is in the moderate concentration. So it is in the moderate concentration. So likewise, ketone bodies is there. You compare with the color coding here, and you can say whether it is a trace amount, small amount, moderate amount. Likewise, okay. So likewise, range will be there for this one. Urine strip analysis. Okay. So this is a short introduction. Basically, if you are going to discuss urine analyzer or blood biochemistry analyzer itself, it should take 2-3 hours, right? Each lecture. So just for introduction, we are going to give this introduction. Okay. So this one is a urine analyzer. Next one is a fully automated hematology analyzer. Okay. So what do we analyze in the fully hematological analyzer? So what parameter do we study? Hematology analyzer? RBC, WBC, platelet count, MCV. What is MCV?
Mean corpuscular volume.
Mean corpuscular volume, mean corpuscular MCH, hemoglobin, right? So likewise parameter. So basically, when you do the hematology analysis, your aim is to see the differentiation, whether there is how much is the RBC, how much is the WBC. If WBC is there, how much is the lymphocyte, how much is the this granulocyte, right? Neutrophil, eosinophil, basophil, how much of this concentration is there, and what is the purpose of MCV, MCH? We want to see whether the morphology of the cells, right? So whether it is a normal shape or the macrocytic or microcytic or normocytic, so that you see with the MCV for hemoglobin concentration, whether it is a higher hyperchromic or normochromic or hypochromic, that you see with the MCH concentration, right? So this one is a hematology analysis. Okay, so we are not going to go in detail how we calculate this one, but we are just talking about the hematology analyzer, what is available, right? So normally basic analyzer is there. It can tell you how much is the RBC, how much is the WBC. Okay, so that is a basic analyzer. If basic analyzer setup is there, it can tell you that complete blood count, but it cannot tell you the differential count. Differential means if WBC is there, how much is the granulocyte, and within the granulocyte, how much is the eosinophil, neutrophil, basophil. Likewise, the differential count it cannot tell. So what is principle of that equipment is that we have this equipment like this. So our aim is that we have blood here. We have blood here. Now we want to see its different types of cells to present. So what we are doing, it is a flow cytometry based approach. For flow cytometry based approach, what we are doing is that, so during blood analysis, we are feeding the blood to the sample. So likewise, the simple syringe is there. Your job is just to keep blood sample here and it will suck up that blood. But what is the principle of that blood sample? So you are passing the laser here and you are adding a lot of, so we say that this hematological analyzer require a lot of diluent and a lot of reagent. Why does it require? Because we are feeding the blood to the sample and now this blood sample, it has to maintain the single streams of cells. Okay, it has to pass in the single streams. Now at a particular point when it is doing the analysis, a single cell should be there. Okay, single cell is there. So we are zooming in here. So now this is a single cell. Single cell. And now we are zooming this portion. So now we are passing light on it. Okay. So these are the light rays. So this light rays we want to pass on this cell. So how this cell measure the cell volume? So there are two types of whenever light hit the surface, there is a forward scatter. Okay, light will pass like this. So forward scatter. Forward scatter is there. So light, so in between, so for example, one person is standing, we are passing torch on him. Now his shadow will be at the back proportional to the size of that person, right? So similar the principle applies here. We have a single cell here. We are trying to maintain the single cell. We are passing the light, and now it is getting scattering in the forward direction. It is getting the forward scattering in the forward direction. We can determine its volume. Volume of the cell we can determine. Okay. So what else can happen with that light? It may try to pass through this one cells. Okay. Some light may get absorbed. If some light is getting absorbed, based on the absorption parameter, we can determine certain hematological parameter. That another thing is there. Another is that this light is there. There is a lot of granulocyte is there. For example, this is a neutrophil and it has some granules. Now this light is going and it is hitting this granule. So it is scattering in this direction. So here it is scattering. It is scattering. It is scattering in this direction. Okay. So based on how much light is scattering, based on whether the granulocyte, different amount of light will be scattering. Okay. So this is called as a side scatter. So this side scatter we are measuring. Okay. So we have curve like this. Okay, forward scatter versus side scatter. Forward scatter versus side scatter. Side scatter shows the granularity, and this one forward scatter cell size. So here some population of the cell will be there. Here some other cell population will be there. Here some other cell population will be there. Okay. So different cell population will be at the different location. So based on this location, how much light is scattering forward and how much side scatter light is there. So this particular cell will be the clustered in particular area. This cell will be clustered in the different area. These cells will be clustered in the different types or different area. Okay. So basically we are measuring the forward scatter, side scatter, and we are trying to plot this on the XY axis, forward scatter versus side scatter, and we are clustering data. So likewise things we call it as a clustering. Okay. So clustering. Okay. So everybody is understanding this one, right? These cells have lesser forward scatter. This cell has a lesser side scatter. So it is coming here. all type of cells. Okay, for example, you consider it as a neutrophil. Okay, so neutrophil is scattering here. Other cell type, it has somewhat more granule, for example. So it will, I need size is also more. Okay, so this cell size is a small, granules is also small. These types of cells. Okay, these cells size is a little bit bigger and granules also a little bit bigger, more granules. These cells is very big. It has a more granules. Okay, so this is the principles. Forward scatter versus side scatter, flow cytometry. So basically we have hepatological analyzer, which is a very basic equipment. If you go forward, there is a flow cytometry equipment. Okay, flow cytometry in which particular CD4 cell are there. You attach the fluorescence, you see the fluorescence, and you try to plot it on XY axis. So you can identify the particular type of cells also, right? For viral infection or for bacterial infection, if you want to study the immunity level of that organism based on the immunocells, that also you can do, but not in this equipment, flow cytometry. So that is a little bit costlier equipment. But we have this blood by hematological analyzer, and this is the principle, right? Okay. So both set of equipment we have is a blood gas analyzer. Okay, so blood gas analyzer. So we have equipment like this. There is a probe, and we just feed the with the help of syringe. We just feed the blood sample into that equipment, right? So this is a blood gas analyzer. And what is principle of this blood gas analyzer? The principle of this equipment is that it has a dry reagent pad and ion selective electrode. So there are two things are there in the blood gas analyzer. So basically, if you going to see whenever we are going to see this equipment is like this. Okay. So it has this thing is there, right? Probe. We call it as a probe. We want to take our sample, so there is a probe. So here one cartridge is there. So there is a cartridge. So this cartridge is there. We can take it out, right? And at the bottom there is a reagent tray is there. Okay. So this reagent also we can take out. Okay. So this equipment works on the dry reagent pad. Dry reagent pad means what? We have reagent pad, and which normally what we do in the biochemistry, we take test tube, we take reagents, we add our sample, and we test the reagents how it is working, right? So that is our normal modus operandi. But in case of this equipment, based on the electronic principle and the cartridge technology, this dry reagent pad is there. So the reagents are coated on the pad, and now whenever we are going to feed the reagent, it will react with this one, and based on this reaction, it can give the partial oxygen pressure, partial carbon dioxide pressure, pH, likewise different parameters it can give, right? And other is that ion selective electrode. So ion selective electrode also based on some reference electrode will be there, internal electrode will be there. So pH is basically working on electrode technology, right? So you want to calculate the pH in that equipment. So you take we have ion selective electrode technology inserted in this one. So it will be reacting. So hydrogen exchange will be there at the electrode position, and based on potentiometric method, this ion flow will be measured, and based on that we say, okay, this one is the pH is a 7 or pH is a 4 or it is 8. Okay, so that is the principle of this equipment. So talking about the dry reagent pad, I forgot to tell this urine analysis strips also, it has a reagents coated on it, right? We said that This is a urine analysis strip. This is for protein. This is for creatinine. So for protein, what we require? So for example, biuret test we are doing in the lab. So if this technology uses biuret reagent, so this reagent will be coated on this on that strip, and the same reaction will be happening there, but it will be on the strip. And the principle of this urine analysis, it will be based on reflectance. Okay, reflectance. Normally we talk about absorption, but it is here it is based on reflectance. So this is analysis strip. This is our, for example, particular for protein. This one, we are passing the light through here, and this light is bouncing back at the other angle. So this angle we are measuring, this theta 1. So this angle we are measuring, based on this angle reflectance, we can calculate how much this total protein or the urea or cholesterol is present in our sample, right? So this is the reflectance photometry basically. This urine strip analysis is the reflectance photometry. Okay. So till now, anybody has any doubts? So basically the aim of today's lecture was to just to show the equipments, what the equipments are available. So we are going to go to VLE lab, right? Clinical laboratory. There we are going to show you the equipments which are available, and we try to explain how it is working. But basically, before showing the equipment, little bit idea should be there, how principle is there. So that is why we have explained you the principle of that equipment, right? Is that clear? Anybody has doubt?
Sir, I have one request for you.
Yes.
Why don't you just brief them regarding the sample collection and its preservation? Otherwise, everything will be wasted, sir. If that procedure is not proper.
Okay, it's sample preservation. I can talk about serum sample, right? For hematological samples, one person can tell you more, right? For serum sample, if you are collecting the serum sample, serum clot activator tube we are taking, then so for example, this is a clot activator tube. Okay, we have collected blood sample here, so it has a coagulation factor. Okay, coagulation factor means what it will do, there is a coagulation cascade reaction is there, right? So this all blood will be coagulating, the RBC will be coagulating together, and the serum will be oozing out. So with the help of pipette, we have to separate that serum sample. We have to keep it in the test tube. Whenever you are keeping the serum sample in the test tube, always remember you have to mention the sample ID and the date of that sample, on which date it is collected, and it should correlate with the laboratory record you are maintaining. Okay. Every PG student will be familiar. So any experiment you are doing, you have to have maintained laboratory record. तुम्ही काय experiment करताय, that record it should be maintained. Okay. So laboratory record it should be maintained. So it should be correlated. So now this serum sample, when should I analyze it? Serum sample. So basically, if you are using this serum spectrophotometer equipment, you can analyze on the same day. So you have reagents, individual reagents, you can analyze as such. But if you are trying to use it on the fully automated biochemistry analyzer, you have to have sample storage facility, right? So sample in the minus means 4 degrees centigrade, 1-2 days you can save the serum sample, 0 degree up to 8 days, and -8, -20 up to month or so you can keep it. Okay. So ideally, generally what happens that more storage time is there in the sample, the sample glucose will decrease, right? If some bacterial contamination is there, that bacteria will try to utilize that glucose for itself. So as time goes on, there is a chances that this glucose decrease, cholesterol decrease. So whatever bacteria is utilizing, it may decrease, right? So that thing is there, sample storage. And for briefly for hematological analysis, there is a EDTA tube is there, right? EDTA tube in which you collect the blood and then you see. So sir can tell more about hematological analysis, right?
So the first thing is what we want to analyze in our serum. Okay, they can be electrolytes, they can be the normal specifically we are going for the enzymes. The storage should be very critical, and it should be very critical, because all the enzymes, they degrade very easily. If your analysis includes enzymes, then you have to store it as soon as possible at -20 or preferably at -80 degrees Celsius. Otherwise, you will lose all the enzymes. Same is the case for all the peptide hormones. They degrade with the time. Steroid hormones, they are stable and you keep it here for 15 days, 20 days. Okay, so always remember what is your parameter whenever you collect the serum. Then, as sir told you, either you can use the clot activator or simply allow it to clot naturally. 40-45 minutes are sufficient. Another thing is, it clots more quickly in summer season. More the temperature, easily the clot will be activated. Then another thing, if I keep it like this and if I keep it like this, there is a huge difference. We want to give our blood more surface area. Okay, remember this one small thing also, because this I came to know from my practical experience. As compared to this, serum will be always quicker in the slanting position and it will be slightly more. Okay. Then, glass tube is best for collection of serum. Okay, if you don't have it, simply use the plastic ones. So remember, for serum, what is your parameter? Electrolytes, the normal metabolites, that is okay. You can store it at 0 degree or 4 degrees Celsius for a couple of days. But if you are going for enzymes, and more specifically the protein hormones, okay, which is the largest group among the hormones, then you have to store it at -20 or -80 degrees Celsius without fail. Okay, otherwise everything will be lost. Then, second thing is urine. So the collection of urine, always void the first collected urine sample. Okay, because it will basically have more contaminants, dust as well as bacteria. Okay, so whatever you collect the first time, throw a little bit of it and then collect the fresh urine, and that should be in a aseptic container, glass, plastic, it doesn't matter, but you will store it at 0 degrees Celsius or 4 degrees Celsius. But 4 degrees Celsius, 24 hours, and for 0 degrees Celsius, say a couple of days, 3 to 4 days you can store it. But our urine sample, it contains lot of anaerobic proteolytic type of bacteria. So more the storage time, more they will metabolize the product, and I think there will be variation in your results. So try to do it very quickly. Okay, this is for the urine. Then for the blood, it should be preferably done within 4 to 6 hours after collection. Once again, you can use the plastic tube or a glass tube for the collection, and the shape of the cells, it changes after 6 hours. And that is why DHC should be done immediately if you want to get 100% accurate results. And blood we cannot store for more than 6 to 8 hours without changing the shape of the cells. So this is for the blood, and this is for the blood gases. So there is no other way, you do it immediately. Okay, there is no other way, we have to do it immediately. All the blood gases, whether it is for the arterial blood or whether it is for the venous blood. Otherwise, the results will definitely vary. Okay, so what sir told you was how the machine works. And what I felt important is that your collection and your storage should be optimum. Okay, otherwise, however good these machines are, you are not going to get accurate results. Okay, just remember, this is very small thing. Your collection and storage should be adequate. Otherwise, these machines are not going to help you. So I thought this was one necessary addition, and that is why I requested Dr. Ghorpade, so that you should know the importance of ideal collection as well as storage for all these different type of body fluids. And before going, I would like to thank sir for giving me the opportunity and taking initiative and briefing all of you. Okay, thank you sir.
Talking about instant analysis of blood gas analyzer, whenever you are doing blood gas blood within 1 minute, we have to show blood to our blood gas analyzer. Otherwise, it will get clotted and this probe will get damaged, right? So this thing is there. For hematological analyzer, it must be with EDTA or something, right? If the blood is getting clotted, so this probe will not work. So you all will be planning experiment on this equipment, and this probe is getting blocked. It means that the equipment will not be functioning properly. Okay, so these things, these were the little bit things about this one. Okay. So we will go to VLD lab, right? We will try to show how it works.